Hey Moxians, I'm super excited to meet you all during the lockdown. The more social distancing we maintain, we're going to meet sooner. I'm here to give some tips on equalization. These series of webinars are predominantly for Moxians. Relatively others can also follow because Moxians have already learned certain things in their college. Do visit moxmedia7.com. So today we are going to dive into equalization. We all know what equalization does. So we've been tweaking all the knobs, no issues experimenting because experiments leads to perfection. We already know EQs are of two types. One is for corrective, to correct all the problems which you have in the frequency content, and then you also have an additive EQ to enhance your sounds, the frequency components. Right, this is a very easy stuff or I've been using for a long time. But what kind of a plugin would you insert in your channel strip? There are two basic types of EQ. This is a secret. One is called as the minimum phase EQ. The other one is called as the linear EQ. This is going to be causing a major issue or a major difference in the way you're going to EQ henceforth. So EQ, as you know, you always use it during the recording, mixing and mastering, and the tip which I'm going to share now is going to enhance your skill to the fullest. So I'm going to insert the minimum phase EQ as well as a linear EQ onto my drum track and actually show you how the phase shift is going to work. So as the name suggests, minimum phase EQ is going to cause you minor phase shifts in your track and you should be cautiously working on it. But the good news is it is not going to take much of your CPU's memory. Whereas the linear EQ is a superior kind of an EQ, but it is going to definitely take a bit more of your CPU power. So you might have heard, so except for the kick drum and the bass drum, you normally apply a low cut filter, probably around 200 Hz or 150 Hz. So we'll see what and how the phase shift is going to cause a muffledness in your track. And we also have to use a correlation meter. The meter is going to show you the phase shift, what is going to happen just because of applying an EQ. And I'm going to take a drum track and try to explain this. You have seen normally we tend to apply an high pass filter across the tracks which is not having the low frequency content. So I'm going to do the same thing. So in this track I have a snare, I'm panning it to complete right, and I have the overheads which is panned completely towards the left for the purpose of explaining this. And on the top we have a correlation meter. The bottom I have a minimum phase or a zero latency equalization. Now you can see as I try to high pass or low cut, look at the correlation meter. The signal moves from +1 region to the -1 region. It means there is a lot of phase cancellation happening and we are always supposed to maintain our signals within the +1 region. So now instead of this channel EQ, I'm going to insert a linear EQ. Let's see how it behaves. So by phase shifting or bringing it to the negative phase, we include a lot of problems and thereafter you're going to suffer a lot in the stages of mixing, submixing and mastering. Now instead of the channel EQ, I have the linear phase EQ and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to high pass. Now look at how the correlation meter behaves. So as I try to roll off the low ends, you can see the correlation meter is still within the +1 region, and actually you can also see that correlation is further improving. The phase issues are removed and the phase is still trying to stay within the +1 region. That's awesome. This is a very, very important thing which normally engineers or students they forget to look at the correlation meter when they are EQing. But I believe after explaining, after seeing all these things, you should be very cautiously EQing your tracks, making sure that phase shifts are not there. I now believe you should be having a fair good idea of how to apply a linear EQ or a minimum phase EQ. So there are a few more tips. So by EQing, by using a linear EQ, you get less phase issues but more of CPU load, and there is something called pre-ringing. So you're not supposed to use the linear EQ on all the tracks. You have to use very cautiously. And similarly, by using a minimum phase EQ, you might have the possibilities of phase shift, but there is very less load on your CPU, and there is something called a transient smearing. So your transients are smeared a bit. So consider all these things before applying the EQ. The fundamentals of equalization is given in the link for download as a PDF, and we will have a test on equalizations with whatever we have seen today and whatever is available on the PDF document. I'll meet you in the next video. Stay quarantined and stay safe. Thank you.